Hi everybody, I want to welcome you guys out to another episode of What's Your Thought, a talk show done for the youth, by the youth, where we are doing controversial topics and we dive in depth. I think I screwed up my intro, but it's okay. I'm your host Keenan and this is my co-host Jaken. So how are you doing, Jaken? It's nice to have you back on the show.
Yeah, I know the crowd misses me. I know I'm a fan favorite.
Oh.
I know I haven't been on for 2 weeks, but good news, I'm back.
And I'm sure you're glad to be back. Isabel will be benched for the next few days. I'm glad she's not here.
Yeah.
So today, I'm guessing some people got offended by that statement, but I am talking about offenses today. How the youth handles being offended or being hurt, per se. Now, there are many layers of hurt that the youth have to deal with.
Yep.
Family issues, rejection from friends, rejection from romantic relationships. How do I put that? You know, the
Romance.
the youth nowadays tend to chase. Why am I saying that like I'm not youth? Us nowadays,
Yeah.
in our generation, tend to chase romantic partners at
Yeah.
a young age. But eventually, this leads to hurt, and I noticed that a lot of ways that us youth deal with hurt is very negative nowadays.
Yeah.
It's very self-destructive to those to ourselves and those around us. Now, Jacob, before we get in, let's dwell a bit on our topic. So, when have there been situations where you've been hurt by people?
Well, let's say, okay, everyone has siblings, and if you don't, but most of the time, everyone has siblings, right? And when you fight with your siblings, sometimes you say things that you don't mean, and it could hurt the other person, and the person gets offended, and it affects your relationship with that person. It's like a white shirt, right? And then a pure white shirt, and you put a black pen, and you put one dot on it.
Or like a stain on the relationship?
Like a stain on the relationship.
Me personally, I've been told throughout my life multiple times that I'm very sensitive. Which, I mean, I didn't believe it at first, but as when I got offended after losing a game of PUBG, that's when I knew that I have a bit of a problem. I have noticed myself to be very sensitive. Now, chat, if you guys do have an issue, do have a story to tell or anything else that you want to say on this issue of being offended or getting hurt, do feel free to interact with us in the chat.
Yeah, we need the chat to be lively, guys. Come on.
Come on, guys. Support
Interact.
us a little bit. So, let's dive into the many ways that we deal with hurt negatively.
Yeah, negatively.
Now, I notice, me personally, I do have a story about this later on, but we do bottle things up
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot. Like, in this modern day generation, being sad or like losing your patience is seen as a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
Or a sign of, it shows that you're
Easily affected.
And then, so people bottle things up. They hide it. They just don't talk about it. They just keep it inside. Keep it until one day an extreme reaction.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a story. There used to be this student in my class named E. Let's call him E, okay?
Because he's
irritating. Padam-tas.
Come on, Marcus, you need to add that sound, alright?
Yeah.
The joke sound.
Give us a padam-tas sound next.
When we make a joke.
Yeah. So E, he used to irritate me every day, and I was like, I couldn't tolerate that guy. But like, I mean, I wouldn't let him know that it was irritated. I just sit there and take the irritated, sit there and take it and take it and take it and take it, until eventually I started thinking, one day I'm gonna get this guy, one day I'm gonna get this guy. But I didn't let it know. It was just all in my thinking. I was just bottling it up. I wouldn't tell my family and friends because I didn't think it was like something that was worth talking about. Like I didn't want to seem like so sensitive or so needy.
Yeah.
But I held it in until one day, like I was planning something for chapel in school, and I lost it. I punched him in the face.
Ooh!
Now everybody like, whoa, Kenan, that's so cool. You punched the irritating guy in the face. But I felt horrible after punching him in the face. I genuinely felt like a bad person, and I was a bad person for punching him in the face. But yeah, me bottling things up, I felt horrible the whole time bottling the things up, and I felt horrible even after I exploded on poor E.
Yeah. But also, what a lot of people don't understand about all of us in general. We're human, right? We're only human. And little things, petty things can affect us because it's in our nature. Humans are emotional beings, right? So a lot of people see that your hurt is a sign of weakness, but it's in our nature. God created us like that.
Yeah. Now, on to our next way of dealing with hurt. Isolating yourself from the hurt or just not dealing with it entirely. Like, let's just say, I'm sure your dad can tell hundreds and billions and gazillions of stories of people that leave church because they got offended.
Yeah.
Now, isolation, as I've noticed, this is my observation last. So feel free to disagree with me in the comment section or add more views if you guys can possibly do so. But isolation, I feel there are two types. One is very common in men and one is very common in women.
Yeah.
The men's version of it, I'm just going to call it the men's version of it. If you're a woman and you do this, it's possible. If you're a man and you do the woman one, it's also possible. But the men's version is when they get offended by a certain group, they completely isolate themselves. Like they just don't attend the event. Like say, if someone will tell me my guitar playing sucks, I just left that group.
Yeah.
Or don't talk to them anymore. But the woman version is a bit different from the men's one. It's similar but different. They still attend the group after being offended, but they retract their character and personality from it.
Yeah.
They kind of
they lose their personality.
Yeah, they retract their character. They're there, but they are not like entirely there. You know, you can feel that.
It's kind of like what teacher says, like you left your brain at home or something like that. If you
Marcus, are there any comments? I'll take that as a no. Now, in isolation, don't get me wrong, there is good isolation. Isolating yourself from a toxic relationship and a toxic environment is good.
Yeah.
However, if you were to completely distance yourself, oh my gosh, voice crack. Completely distance yourself from something, I feel it's very negative to completely avoid something because of one incident. Like, I feel the mentality behind this of not facing the hurt is you avoid the thing that hurt you so you won't get hurt again.
Yeah. But going back to toxicity, if that is even a word, you said that when it's something toxic, me too, you think you said that if it's something toxic, you isolate from it, right? But sometimes people see the slightest bit of toxicity in someone or something and they totally distance themselves. A teacher Joel taught me, he told me that in a group, if the good outweighs the bad more, it tends that the bad starts to follow the good, if you get what I mean.
Like influencing.
Yeah, influencing, yeah.
The majority influences the minority.
Yeah.
So, that brings us to another one of our points. Our next point, hurting others. Because hurt people tend to hurt people.
Yeah.
Because you know when you're hurt, you hurt someone else.
Yeah.
It's a thing that people do, you know?
It's a cycle.
Yeah. So Jacob, what are your thoughts on hurt people?
Well, actually hurting people that hurt people, in my opinion, is also like one of the worst things you can do on this list. But we have more worse things. Like, okay, on top of your head, who do you think hurts people the most? Like
bullies.
Yeah.
I guess alcoholics that go home to beat their family.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure all of these people are dealing with hurt in their own way, but when you're dealing with hurting others, it just creates an endless cycle of pain.
Yeah.
When you hurt others, the hurt people hurt more people, hurting more people.
Yeah.
It's just an endless cycle of pain that needs to be ended by one person who decides to say stop.
Okay. So you mentioned bullies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all can relate. I think everyone got picked on. I think everyone was either the picky or the picker. Yeah.
Sounds like
Yeah,
you're talking about.
When I said that, I realized what it sounded like. Okay, Keenan. So a lot of times bullies are like that. Bullies are bullies because they come from abusive background in their house, or they were once bullied in school. And a lot of bullies have an inferiority complex, if I pronounced it right.
Inferiority complex. I think we got it.
Yeah, I think we got it. Leave in the comments if you got it. So the bully feels trapped and he's powerless over his situation. That's why he takes it out on the small fry. Because the small fry doesn't have power over him. If you get.
So in his frustration, he releases it out on someone that he has power over.
Yeah.
I also feel that when hurt people, they want to receive sympathy in the form of, like, let's just say you hit me, I want to hit you back. It's like a form of revenge, you know. You don't know the pain that you caused me.
Yeah. And the other day I was on YouTube, as what you said, the form of revenge, or you don't know what it feels like, so I'm gonna teach you what it feels like. I was on YouTube. I was watching this YouTube channel. They're called Goldcast, where they get stories about famous people's backstories before they were famous. And then there was one story that particularly stuck in my mind. It's by Terry Crews. He was talking about his backstory, how his dad used to abuse him and his mom, right? And as he grew up, one day he and his wife went out on a trip and left his dad. And his dad's an alcoholic. And he tells his dad, I don't want any trouble. And halfway during the trip with his wife, he gets a call saying that his dad punched his mother and knocked out her tooth. So he drives all the way back and he sits with his dad in the room. He talks to his dad, he's like, didn't I tell you? I don't want any trouble. And as soon as he said that, he just punches his dad in the face. And what he said was, it didn't help. It didn't bring me any closure that I did that. In fact, he said it made me feel worse.
So because of his hurt, he hurt his dad, and it did not even bring him the closure.
Yeah.
So it just created more hurt.
Yeah.
Well, that also brings up the bottling things up, eventually leading to an extreme reaction. It doesn't really satisfy your thing, the hurt, you know.
Yeah.
Now we're moving on to a very interesting topic: self-harm. Now I'm sure there are those in the comment section or in the viewers right now that have dealt with self-harm or have been self-harming at one point or another. And if you do have a story or anything that you would like to share about this on this topic, or anything that you can do to correct us, we would like some information as well. Now, in self-harm, I've tried very hard to understand this topic. I've read up on a lot of websites and places of information on self-harm, and most of it comes down to them. I read they just want a distraction.
Yeah, they want a distraction from the inward pain.
Yeah, by hurting outward pain. But personally, I don't understand why it would help. I really could not. Why do you think, Jacob?
Well, I think this is my opinion, but if y'all have any other opinions, feel free to leave it in the comments. But in my opinion, it's like, okay, because we are guys, me and you, so I'm going to talk to you as a guy, in a guy's point of view. When you get angry at something, one, you start punching a wall, or two, you start breaking things. And you do that in the spur of the moment. That's what I feel. Like, you just do it as a reaction. And once, after you do it, you regret it, because either one, you broke something valuable, or two, you bruise your knuckles, and they really hurt. So I feel like when people cut themselves, I think, this is my opinion, I'm making a disclaimer, it's my opinion, I feel that they do it in the spur of the moment. They're not thinking straight, I guess.
Yeah, when emotion takes over the mind, your emotion is
yeah,
for you.
Because I said earlier, bottling things up.
But if I'm not wrong, your dad did have something to say about this, right?
Yeah,
in an earlier conversation, you mentioned something.
My dad told me, when he raised us, he told us that depression, right? People who have depression, having depression is very selfish. You're a selfish person. He said the cause of depression is selfishness. And because of that, you realize a lot of depressed people always say, why me? Why did I have to be born with a single mom, no dad? Or why did I have to be born in this part of town?
That's like it's very, how to say, arrogant to think that you're the only person in the world with big problems. Like, God put you in a bad position or something.
On
but
purpose.
No, it's everybody has problems in this world, unless you're like, I don't know, dead. Yeah, precisely. The only people with no problems in this world is dead people. Self-harm does not help anything, but the mentality behind people with self-harm is that a lot of times it's for attention. Quite often, if you self-harm and you say you're not doing it for attention, I'm not accusing you, or I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just saying a lot of times it's for attention.
Yeah, a
because
lot.
It's a common trend because a long time ago, like if you self-harm, it wasn't a big issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big issue. So people would give attention. But then now it's become a trend.
Yeah, it's become
lately.
like a norm. It's like
Yeah.
COVID, a new norm.
So because people that want attention see that this gets attention, so they self-harm, and now it's become something that's so normal.
yeah, it's like a run of the mill.
Yeah, everybody nowadays knows somebody who cuts off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cuts for attention. Yeah.
Yeah. The other one is because they hate themselves so much.
Yeah. That is like mainly mainly like girls like cut themselves, right?
I think it is a very known thing that. I mean, there are guys who cut,
Yeah.
but the majority of the gender who cuts is girls.
Like I was asking questions studying for this topic, right? I was asking teacher Joel. He said that sometimes girls do it because of their not inferiority, they're insecure about themselves, their features.
They hate themselves.
Yeah.
But if you hate yourself, cutting yourself isn't going to help.
Yeah.
You know,
It's actually
it just makes it worse.
Yeah.
We'll touch more on this later on, but let's move on to our next one: hiding it. Now, when people, I'm not saying hiding it is a very broad subject, but I'm saying hiding it as in creating a persona of ignorance, like I don't care that
I'm invincible.
I don't care that this is happening. I don't care that I wasn't that close to this person when they passed away. I don't care.
Yeah, that kind.
But yeah, you say you don't care, but deep down inside you can tell that the person is hurt.
Yeah, you can hear it in their voice,
Mm-hmm.
the way they speak of the thing.
And now the
Yes.
mind of a person who creates the persona of ignorance, I feel, is a person who is either one, too scared to show their emotion, or too arrogant to show their emotion.
Most of the time, it's arrogance.
Yeah, but this creating a persona of ignorance is very common in males. It's like, I don't care, this doesn't bother me, right? This doesn't bother me.
Because males,
They-
we all are prideful.
Yeah,
okay?
no, it's like, how do we put this? It's like nowadays in the society, as I said earlier, sadness is shown as a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
If I'm sad, if I'm bothered by this, I'm weak.
Yeah.
So they just hide it. They're like, no, it doesn't bother me. And the other person is like, it doesn't bother me because he's too scared to deal with it himself.
Yeah.
On to the next one. This is, if you use this way to deal with your problems, this is tragic. Tantrums.
Ooh.
Now, I know tantrums seems like a very rare way to deal with things, but I personally, I'm ashamed to admit this, but I have dealt with things using tantrums before, and I'm sure you know one or two people who have thrown tantrums, even in their late 30s, early 40s, still throwing tantrums. I know like old people who throw tantrums, but like, yeah, this is not like the 2-year-old tantrums where you stamp your feet and you're crying and kicking up a fuss. I'm talking about like real like tantrums where you just say things
That you
in the
don't
spur of the
mean,
moment, like cursing and just showing everybody that you're angry for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And this puts you out to be a very
Childish.
childish looking person and a person who cannot control their anger.
Yeah, no, you don't
Like-
have self-control.
Releasing anger is healthy, but not in certain mediums. Like
Yeah.
this isn't healthy. If you throw tantrums more than once a week, it's bad, man. Now, the mentality of people who throw tantrums, I feel, is because they are releasing anger, like they cannot hold it in anymore,
Yeah.
They just have to let it go. Now, this is the last one. I feel this is one of the saddest ones here, blaming it on others. Now, there are some people in this world who have been hurt by other people, and they refuse to move on
Yeah.
because of that one person. They just hold it in their heart, and eventually it makes them a very resentful person. The mentality behind this is that you refuse to move on, it just brings you back to the past. Now, I'm going to share a quote. Hurt holds your future and makes you dwell on the past. If you can get past to the hurt, you can move on to the future. But
Yeah.
a lot of people just dwell on the past, and blaming it on that person is like, that person hurt me a long time ago, that person hurt me a long time ago. It really makes you a very resentful person. Now, if any of you guys have anything to add, we will be moving on to the good news, so feel free to add anything in the comments. Marcus, is there anything in the comments currently? Nope. Okay.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, we'll be moving on to our segment, the good news.
Hi, my name is Joshua and I'm 16 years old and I'd like to share with you my testimony. So I pretty much grew up in church my whole life, born and raised as a pastor's kid, knowing right from wrong. And when I was at the age of 11, I was trying to be a good kid and I was trying to be saved, but I was allowing bad influences to affect my life. So that led me to backslide, and at the age of 12, I was just following the wrong crowd and knowing that what I was doing was wrong, but I just wanted to look cool. So when I was 13 years old, I started watching pornography, and at 14, I tried a little bit of drugs and a little bit of alcohol, and I ended up getting in trouble, and my sin found me out, of course. And when we came to India, God immediately started dealing with me, but I was fighting, and just for no reason, I just didn't want to get saved. I was just being so stubborn. And after about a year of being here, I realized that there's no point of not being saved anywhere, period. So on December 13th, 2019, I gave my life to Jesus Christ, and it's been the best decision I've ever made. It would have been nice if God would have visited me in a dream or in a vision, but I just simply laid down my pride and I gave my life to Jesus. And if you're out there and you're not saved, then I encourage you to get saved. There's nothing to live for on Judgment Day. Your friends aren't going to be there. It's just going to be you and God. So I encourage you to give your life to Jesus.
Wow. Thank you, Joshua, for
Alright.
the amazing testimony.
You know, for a second, when I was told that Joshua was testifying, I thought you meant Joshua Ryan.
I was like, my cousin? I was like, no, I didn't believe it. I was shocked. Then Marcus told us it was Joshua Wacker from India.
Oh yeah, wonderful testimony. Thank you so much, Joshua Wacker.
Yeah. Well, at this segment, normally we do the plug-in, which we are. So right now, our events in church, everything has been online. Yeah, has been transferred online. We have church services tomorrow, in fact, 10 a.m. Sunday morning service.
Yep.
You're free to pray with us from 9?
Yeah, if you do have any questions about our services, do free to message Teacher Joel.
Yeah.
Marcus will put Teacher Joel's number in the comment section, so please feel free to call him up. Or,
Yeah, and on our
if you have any inquiries about our services.
Yeah, and on our Instagram page, you can contact at cfm.pj. Right?
cfm.pj, right, Marcus? Marcus will be adding all of our church details in the church in the link in the chat. Yes.
Yeah. And also later today we're gonna have 180 at 4:30, right?
Yep.
We're gonna have 180. So come and join the youth.
All youth are welcome. We'll play a game short, and then we'll have a short lesson where then we'll socialize.
Yeah.
So Jacob, so far we've been diving into all these topics of hurt. Do you have any opinions that we haven't touched yet?
Me about hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we haven't covered like how all of this, like all of the hurt, that the ways of dealing with it affects others, everyone around us.
Yes, I did mention earlier that it's very destructive to yourself. And not only is it destructive to yourself, it's destructive to those around you, the ways of dealing with hurt.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to go over the points one more time, but this time we're going to explore why these ways are harmful to yourself and those around you. Now, if you guys have anything to add on this or any experiences that you have, I will tell a few stories, but you guys should feel free to add your own stories about hurt yourself.
So, diving into this, why hurting how it affects other people. So, Keenan, bottling things up. How does it affect the people around you?
Bottling things up. Now, when you bottle things up, you keep things to yourself. I feel the person who gets hurt most in this is you yourself.
Yeah.
You keep in your heart, I'm not gonna say this, I'm not gonna say this, I'm not gonna get angry, I'm not gonna lose it, I'm not gonna lose it, you're just holding the resentment. Then when you finally let it go, you feel bad even afterwards.
Yeah.
It doesn't even give you closure when you explode.
Yeah.
Now, when you bottle things up, those around you, I'm sure those who really care, real parents or real family members or real friends will be able to see that something is bothering you. And then when you just bottle it up, no, there's nothing wrong, it leads them caring and worried for you, you know?
Yeah.
Now, this next one is very interesting. Isolation and not facing the hurt.
How does it affect others around you?
How does it affect others around you? I feel the most affected person by this, yet again, is yourself.
You lose relationships and your touch with people if you isolate because of hurt.
As I mentioned earlier, there is two types, right? The male isolation and the female
Isolation. Yeah.
Not to gender stereotype, but this is just how we'll be referring to it for the rest of the talk show. But when the male type of isolation, completely just not attending the event, you lose friendships by not attending the event. You just, all the people who had a relationship with you, like if I left church, I'm sure, hopefully, everybody would miss me, I think. But yeah, and then you yourself, I'm losing all the relationships that I've built in church, all because somebody offended me. One person offended me, and I lose all the relationships. Now, it's very interesting, the female version of isolation. You're still there, but you still go to church, but you retract your personality. You're not really there,
Yeah.
And you may not know that your friends feel it, but your friends will feel it.
Yeah, people who care about you will be like actually affected a lot because they are thinking like, did I do something wrong? That's why they're like that. Am I not being a good enough friend? Or even your parents, like we're talking about self-harm, right?
No, we're talking about not isolation.
Yeah, okay, I know, but self-harm also.
No, like isolation.
Alright, so.
We're not at self-harm yet. Calm down, Jacob. You're moving a bit too fast.
Okay. I'll slow down.
Even the parents, yes, like you said, even the parents should be worried if the kid's personality isn't there. Like you suddenly change like that. Also, when you isolate yourself from everybody else, a lot of times you develop like a depression, You become, nobody cares about me, you become depressed over the course of time. Isolation does a lot to your mental health.
Yeah.
Now, next one, hurting others. Now, I'm sure I don't need to elaborate on why hurting others hurts the people around you.
Yeah.
It's in the name.
It's in the name.
So, now, like you mentioned earlier in the story from Terry Crews, right?
Yeah.
He said after he hit his dad, it did not give him closure.
Yeah, it didn't give him anything. He felt worse about himself.
So, after hurting his dad, it didn't even give him the closure that he needed. So it hurt him. He felt worse, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, I'm sure his dad was hurt because he got a punch to the face. Like the people you hurt get hurt, and you are still hurt. Not only that, going by the logic of hurt people, an endless cycle of people, hurting people. What? Oh my gosh, tongue twister. Hurt people, hurting people.
You know what? We should change Betty Bosambaya to hurt people. Say it like 5 times fast.
Hurt people.
Oh, Kina can do it.
All I have to say is hurt people. There's no pronunciation. Anyway, next one. Apart from directing the anger outwards to hurting others, a lot of people also self-harm. Now, this is a very risky topic for me to cover. But I feel when you self-harm, I like to share a personal story first because a family member of mine whom I really care about, close family member, has started hurting herself. She started cutting. Now, I don't know if it's right to say, but I feel very hurt when I see this family member of mine cutting herself. I really do care for her, Yeah.
Because obviously you have a very close relationship with her. And it also goes to the parents of, they know that their child is cutting themselves. It can really affect them. Because when they see that, it breaks their heart. It might not show, but it really breaks their heart into. It's like your parents do everything they can to provide for you, right? And then when they see you cutting yourself, they're like, is it my fault? Am I not giving my child enough love? Am I not caring for them enough?
Yes, I too was very worried when I saw this close family member of mine hurting herself. I genuinely felt like I didn't do something right.
Yeah. That's why self-harm also affects other people around you.
And of course, self-harm is harmful to yourself,
Yeah.
of course.
In
So
the name
it's
too.
destructive to yourself and those around you. I feel there are better ways to deal with it,
Yeah.
which we will get to later.
But now moving on to hiding and creating a persona of ignorance.
Now, a lot of times when you hide it and you create a persona of ignorance, you are hurting yourself.
Yeah. And actually hiding it also, it leads to bottling things up too, right?
Yeah, it is also another way of bottling things up because that negativity has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's inside all the time and you feel horrible. Creating a persona of ignorance, I don't care, but deep down inside you feel the hurt, you know?
Deep down inside you're like broken.
And your friends, I'm sure even your friends can see that you are hurting.
Yeah.
They are also concerned for you.
And your friends, like if you have your really good friends and they try to help you and you don't wanna let them in, that also can hurt them. Thinking that they said something to you.
Now, I also realized I forgot to cover the mentality behind creating a persona of ignorance. I feel when you create a persona of ignorance is to protect your pride.
Yeah.
So, very often you need to let go of your pride to really move on from this. Now, tantrums. I don't know what to say about tantrums. Like, if you're in public and you're stomping and you're gonna be embarrassed.
Yeah, as
If
I
you're
said,
throwing a fit in public, you're gonna be embarrassed.
yeah, I said it earlier. It's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
You get people think that you're embarrassing to be around, and after you do it, you get embarrassed.
Not only that, when in the moment of tantrums, you're super angry. In the heat of the moment, you might say something that you don't mean.
Yeah, like you completely. Once you say, you're like,
Oh,
snap.
you don't realize it on the point, but like after you throw the tantrum, you're just filled with regret.
Yeah.
It brings hurt to yourself and the person that you say.
Yeah, like I said earlier, your emotions cloud your judgment and your thought processing of the situation.
Now, next one. I feel this is one of the most harmful ones on the list. Even worse than self-harm, blaming it on others.
Oh yeah, blaming it on others.
Now, blaming it on others per se for like the moment is okay, but a lot of people who blame it on others never move on in life.
Yeah, they.
Like teacher Joel once told a story of his friend whose dad was an alcoholic and he never let it go. 50 years later, 40 years later, he just held the resentment in his heart, making him a very hateful person.
Yeah.
Now, the person probably doesn't even know that you're holding it deep down in their heart or doesn't care.
Yeah.
But you yourself, you are dwelling on that past. You are letting it eat you up. You are not losing sleep over. You are losing sleep over this kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, and the person may not know it, and that's why relationships are important. Because if you have a close enough relationship like me and you, Keenan,
Yes, like you.
you can open up to the person.
Okay, just kidding. Blaming it on others it's so bad because you yourself never let go. You are just stuck with the hurt forever. You are left your whole life thinking this person did this to me, this person did this to me, this person did this to me, you know?
Yeah.
Never being able to move on. I know a lot of people, I have a family member as well who will not let go of the hurt that somebody did to her.
Yeah.
So, now that we've covered all the ways that the youth have trouble dealing with hurt and why it's destructive to themselves and those around them, what are the positive ways of dealing with hurt, Jacob?
Well, the positive, you can't say positive per se.
Okay, the better ways, the right way to deal with hurt.
The right way, that's the word. Well, putting down your pride is actually one of the most important ways of dealing with it.
That is
And-
true. I did mention
yeah.
pride a lot.
Yeah,
in
because
the-
when you are hurt, it's kind of like your body. They release like white blood cells to protect yourself from a disease.
So you put up your wall of pride.
Yeah, put up your wall of pride to protect yourself. And if you put up the wall of pride, you can't lay it down before God. And laying it before God is also another right way of dealing with hurt. Once you lay it down, sorry, I knocked the mic. If you have pride in your heart and you lay it down before God, God is not going to answer you. You have to tear down that wall of pride you have in your heart. And once you tear down that wall, you can lay it down before God, and God will speak and He will answer your prayers. If you get what I mean.
Then, one of the ways that I personally have dealt with hurt is using the hurt to drive myself the right way.
Yeah, but in saying that, there's two sides to that coin.
Yeah, there is two sides to the coin. I could have become a resentful person, but let me tell you the story of my hurt. There was one time, a long time ago, someone told me my guitar playing sucked. Now, I was a new guitar player, but it really did affect me in my confidence and everything. Yeah, in my pride. Yeah, that is true. My pride and ego was damaged. But I used that hurt to, oh my gosh, voice crack. I used that hurt to better myself every day. I focus on playing guitar. I better myself as a guitarist every day. Oh my gosh. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Continue.
I used that hurt to drive myself as a guitarist, but not because I wanted to be good so that person can, I can tell that person, I become a good guitarist, what do you got to say now? I don't want to get my guitar and shred in front of that person. I just want to, better myself as a guitarist so that I can be proud of me, using the hurt to drive myself the right way.
Yeah. And that is also an important trait to have with your character, that you use hurt to drive you the right way. Because if you drive it the wrong way, you dig a ditch.
You become a resentful person.
And it affects you later on in life. And right now I'm going to talk about how there is one more way to deal with hurt that's the right way. Letting go of the hurt. All our points link together.
Yeah, putting your pride down, laying it before God, and asking God to help you let go of the hurt.
Yeah. See, once you lay your pride down and you ask God and lift up your hurt to God, and everything that you've been going through, you lift it up to God. For most of us, we know that Christians, we understand that Jesus died on the cross so He could forgive us. And I'm not saying others can't forgive, non-Christians can't forgive. I'm not saying that, but because I'm a Christian, I'm using that as an example, that Jesus died so that we all could be forgiven, right? And because Jesus forgives us as Christians, we must learn to forgive. Am I right?
Yeah, in a lot of these ways, letting go of the hurt requires forgiveness. So you will never really be free from the hurt if you don't forgive the cause of it.
Yeah.
Or move on from it,
Yeah. So hand in hand, they all go hand in hand together, alright? Putting down your pride down will lead to laying it before God. And laying it for God will give you letting go of the hurt and letting the pain go.
Now to our next part. Let's toss out the script and have some real talk.
Oh, Keenan.
So, I noticed that a lot of people tend to believe that God is just on His throne, He doesn't really understand our hurt,
Yeah.
But it couldn't be more far from the truth. If in our previous segment, in our previous episode, we did, Is God Good? Now, what we touched on also was, is God there with us in our problems?
Yeah.
Now, if you don't believe that God has gone through any suffering or anything, He's just sitting in His throne of light up in heaven, you are wrong. He has suffered more than anyone else in this world.
He was betrayed by His own disciples.
He was betrayed by His disciples. He was denied by His disciples. Everybody left Him. He was mocked, beaten.
He was all alone. He was naked on the cross.
Look, if you think Jesus isn't what, I have a Bible verse. Wait, let me get it up. Isaiah chapter 53 verse 3. He was despised and rejected, a man of sorrows, acquainted with the deepest grief. We turned our backs on Him and He looked the other way. He was despised and we did not care. Now, if you believe that you can't go to Jesus for advice with your hurt, I don't think there's anyone else you can go to. Jesus has dealt with hurt. So, any comments, Marcus? Do you guys have any thoughts to add while we are having our real conversation? We're just through the script out.
We're waiting for Marcus.
Yes. Are there any comments? So, any other thoughts to add, Jacob?
Well, I think we pretty much covered all we need to cover. And if y'all don't understand still, please leave a comment.
Yeah, we will try our best to cover all of your issues or your questions in the next episode if we have missed it in the current.
I know this could be a very controversial topic.
Yeah, it was very difficult. I had to do a lot of research.
Soul searching to see is any of those qualities in you.
Personally, I have dealt with hurt in a lot of negative ways. I've been told I've been very sensitive. I also used to like isolate myself. Like, this guy hurt me, so I'm just not gonna talk to him.
Yeah, I used to walk away from the argument.
Yeah. What are ways that you have dealt with hurt in your youth? Like the negative ways.
The negative ways. My parents also told me I'm very sensitive. My dad always says, be a man, okay?
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. So the negative ways was I used to break out in anger when I was younger. First thing I'll do
like tantrums?
Not
or like
not tantrums. I'll not physically hurt myself in a way, but if anything happened, I will like once the argument is over, I'll go straight to my room and start punching a wall or something like that.
I used to punch the wall too till my knuckles got bruised. Then I couldn't play guitar for a week.
Yeah, then after you do it, like I said, it's in the spur of the moment.
You feel like you're dumb.
Yeah, you imagine the person's face on the wall, you're like, pop. And then after you do it, after like 10 minutes, you're like,
oh, my hand's pain.
That was a bad idea. I'm such an idiot.
Okay, anyway, thank you so much for your viewership, or is that a thing for viewing
Yeah,
our
viewership.
Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you on the next episode of What's Your Thought.
And remember, tell us what's your thought.